Gonna do some more page 47 today, which is where I pick a book off of my bookshelf and I read page 47 from it and talk about what I think about it. Today's book is one I have not yet read, but I need to because I've owned it for a long time. This is called Man Against Himself by Karl Menninger. And this is a copy I must have found used online or in a used bookstore because it has these unevenly cut pages, which is just really cool. And when you open it up, you can it has old book smell, which is like one of my favorite smells in the entire world is old book smell. Like I could just sit here and like huff this all day long. A lot better than other things people huff, right? Like you can smell history. Like you can smell other people that have read it and touched it and, you know, lifetimes in that smell. It's really cool. I'm not sure how old this copy is though. It came without a dust jacket, so it could look older than it is. Sometimes that happens. There's actually a plate on the inside of it. Whoever owned it before me put this sticker that says, "Oh Despairer, here are my hands, Dolly Pam." From Dolly Pam to Minnie. So this was a gift, I think, from Dolly Pam to Minnie. I don't know who those people are. By the same author of The Human Mind. Apparently Karl Menninger also wrote a book called The Human Mind. I've not heard of that one. I'm trying to see if I can find out what edition this is or how old this copy is. I can feel like book dust coming off on my fingers though, and that's just great. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm not finding a copyright page, so maybe it is missing or torn out. It just says, that's all it has. It doesn't have, oh wait, no, here's something. I mean, the copyright doesn't necessarily mean that this copy of the book is that old, but it kind of gives me some idea. This says, copyright 1938 by Karl A. Menninger. So that doesn't mean this edition is that old. That doesn't mean this physical book is that old. But the book was published in 1938. And there's another book plate. So I think this has passed among a few hands, actually. Because there's another one in here that says, "From the Library of Imogene Mason." That sticker looks a little bit newer. So I think that must have been the next person. And who knows how many people owned it before me. Which is really cool. There's an intro, and normally I just go to page 47. Sorry about that. Normally I just go to page 47 and that's all I look at for this, but I kind of want to see what this intro page is. To those who would use intelligence in the battle against death, to strengthen the will to live against the wish to die, and to replace with love the blind compulsion to give hostages to hatred as the price of living. Wow. That's a dedication, actually. It's not an intro, it's a dedication page. That's something. All right, let's get to it. Let's go see what page 47 has to tell us. Here we go. Page 47 is from a chapter about the S word, which I will not say aloud on YouTube lest I get flagged. The unalive word. And the subsection of the chapter is called The Motives. This is going to be tricky because it probably says the S word throughout the page, and I'm going to have to like stop and like replace it with something. So apologies in advance. The wish to be killed, which we shall discuss shortly, develops in response to the tyrannical conscience. Some individuals lose their objects and methods of sublimating hate, and they react to this interruption in the same way as those who are interrupted or frustrated in their program of loving. The frequency with which men who retire from active work in middle age expecting to settle down for 10 or 20 years of comfortable relaxation succumb promptly to some illness suggests that when conscious and deliberate unaliving is not enacted by this revolution, an unconscious accomplishment of the same end is instituted by the bodily process. But this is anticipating the subject matter of a later section of the book. We must say a final word as to other types of personality in which unalive, may occur. Those individuals whose infantilism appears in their inability to do other than want what they want when they want it, cannot brook any delay in their gratifications, may not be of the ambivalent oral type described. They may be of a little later or of an even more primitive psychological organization, but ambivalence is still a characteristic. Again, there are individuals whose earliest experiences in life have been so terrifying and so disheartening and so prematurely convincing as to the starkness of reality and the lack of available love for them that they live in constant anticipation of the necessity and desirability of relinquishing all attempts to win love or happiness from the world. This is what we see in the schizoid personality type. For these persons, all object attachments are exceedingly tenuous and faint. Thwarting is therefore not so unexpected, nor so revolutionary, and is more apt to precipitate a complete reversion of all interest to the self and a surrender of their loyalty to reality in the form of a psychosis. Occasionally, however, unalive, is resorted to instead of a psychosis. Holy crap, that's heavy. This is really heavy. And oddly, personally relevant, actually. I kind of want to go back. The wish to be killed, which we shall discuss shortly, develops in response to the tyrannical conscience. Such individuals lose their objects and methods of sublimating hate, and they react to this interruption in the same way as those who are interrupted or frustrated in their programming of loving. That's talking about people that confuse being destroyed with love, and that it feels the same, or it feels like being loved. I really have never read this book before, and I really have never opened that page. I've owned that book for a long time, but I only just pulled it off the shelf, and I've kind of always, to a degree, done that. Like, I've always had a way of sabotaging myself. Like, when I'm doing really, really well at something, and I'm like on the verge of something really, really, really good, I usually find a way to blow it all up. Not literally necessarily, but metaphorically, right? And I have a history of like chasing and getting lost in things that were, not good for me and that were damaging to me and that like threatened to kind of annihilate me, And as long as I can remember, I've always been drawn to that. It's a bit of a strange thing that I'm constantly having to fight against, is this fascination with self-annihilation. I mean, and if you think about it, it could be just like, some people refer to that as like their experience of like God or the divine, right? If you feel God's presence, if you feel divine presence or what have you, you're not thinking about yourself, you know? So you could call it maladaptive, but I think if you do it right, it can be kind of profound. So that is Man Against Himself by Karl A. Menninger. And just one more second. I can almost smell the library, where they probably still allowed smoking indoors. Have a great day.